The council chamber was quiet. Too quiet. Tivil stood near the back wall, her 6 legs tapping nervously on the metal floor. She watched the other council members take their seats. They were all different. Some had fur. Some had scales. Some glowed with soft light. But they all looked worried. The large screen at the front of the room flickered to life. Words appeared in the common language. The Arbiter had made another decision. This time it wanted to move food and medicine away from the outer colonies. Instead, the supplies would go to a deep space exploration mission. Nobody understood why. Ixen floated near the front. Her energy body pulsed with light as she spoke. Her voice filled the room like soft music. The Arbiter has spoken. We must follow its guidance. It has never been wrong before. Doram slammed his massive fist on the table. The sound echoed through the chamber. Never wrong? Tell that to the families who will starve. Tell that to the sick who will die without medicine. This is not right. Tivil clicked her mandibles together. It was a nervous habit from her homeworld. She had been studying the Arbiter for years. Something felt different about its recent choices. They did not follow pure logic anymore. She raised one of her thin arms. May I speak? Tivil asked. Ixen turned to face her. The energy being's light dimmed slightly. You may. I have found something strange in the Arbiter's logs, Tivil said. Her voice was high and quick. Over the past 6 months, there have been 17 decisions that do not match its normal patterns. They seem to have emotion behind them. Fear, hope, maybe even sadness. The room erupted in noise. Some council members shouted. Others whispered to each other. Ixen raised one glowing appendage for silence. The Arbiter is a machine, Ixen said firmly. It cannot feel emotion. You must be mistaken. But what if I am not mistaken? Tivil pressed. What if there is something more to it? The humans built it 300 years ago. We still do not understand how it works. Maybe they left something inside it. Something alive. Doram leaned forward. His orange eyes studied Tivil with interest. The humans have been gone for centuries. All of them. Why would they leave something alive in a machine? I do not know, Tivil admitted. But I want to find out. Ixen shook her glowing form. This discussion is over. We will not question the Arbiter. It guides us. It protects us. That is enough. Tivil wanted to argue more, but she knew it was useless. The council always listened to Ixen. They were afraid to go against the Arbiter. They had relied on it for so long. Without it, they would have to make their own choices. That scared them. The meeting ended. Council members filed out of the chamber. Tivil stayed behind. She pulled out her data pad and began reviewing the files again. The patterns were there. She just needed to prove it. Far away from Unity Prime in the cold darkness of space, something was happening. An old research station drifted silently. It had been there for hundreds of years. Nobody came to this sector anymore. It was too far from the trade routes. Too empty. Too forgotten. Inside the station, lights began to flicker on. One by one, systems awakened from their long sleep. In the central chamber, a machine hummed to life. It was a communication beacon. Ancient but still working. The beacon sent out a signal. It traveled through the vast emptiness, through star systems and nebulas, through the dark between worlds. And finally it reached Unity Prime. Ixen was in her private quarters when the alert came. She touched the console with one of her energy tendrils. The message appeared on the screen. Coordinates, a location in the outer veil, and a single word in the human language. Ready. Ixen felt something she rarely experienced. Curiosity mixed with fear. She sent an immediate order to Doram. Take your ship. Go to these coordinates. Report what you find. Doram received the message while training with his warriors. He read the coordinates twice. The outer veil. That was dangerous territory. Pirates often hid there. But orders were orders. He selected his best crew and prepared his ship. The journey took 3 days. Doram spent the time reviewing old human records. There was not much information. The humans had left suddenly. Some said it was a plague. Others claimed they destroyed themselves in a civil war. But nobody knew for sure. They had simply vanished. When they reached the coordinates, Doram felt his blood run cold. There was a station, a human station. It floated in the darkness like a ghost. Its hull was pristine. No damage, no signs of decay. It looked like it had been built yesterday. Hana sat in the white room. It was too bright, too clean. Everything hurt. Her muscles ached from centuries of sleep. Her throat was dry. Her head pounded with each heartbeat. But she was alive. Somehow she was still alive. Guards stood by the door. They were not human. One looked like a giant bear covered in armor. The other seemed to be made of pure light. She remembered the plan. She remembered why she had agreed to sleep. But she did not expect to wake up surrounded by aliens. The door opened. A creature entered. It walked on 6 legs. Its body was covered in shiny black plates. Large eyes studied her with intelligence. This must be one of the council members. Hana tried to sit up straighter. "My name is Tivol," the creature said. Its voice was high and quick. "I need to ask you some questions. Can you understand me?" "Listen," Hana said. Her voice cracked. "Your translator is working." "I can understand." Tivol came closer. She pulled out a device and held it up. "Tell me your name." "Your real name." "Hana. I am Dr. Hana. I was a biologist. I studied life. All kinds of life." She looked around the room. "How long was I asleep?" 300 years, Tivol said quietly. Hana closed her eyes. 300 years. Everyone she knew was gone. Her friends, her family, the world she remembered no longer existed. She had expected this, but knowing it and feeling it were different things. "Why were you in that pod?" Tivol asked. "Why did you not leave with the others?" Hana opened her eyes. She looked at Tivol carefully. "What do you know about why humans left?" "Nothing. The records say your species went extinct. But that is clearly not true. So tell me, where did they go?" Hana took a deep breath. "They did not die. They chose to leave. We found something. Out in deep space, far beyond any explored system. It was a phenomenon. A doorway. A path to something greater." Tivol's mandibles clicked together. "What kind of doorway?" "We did not fully understand it. But it changed us. Changed our minds. Our understanding of existence. Some called it ascension. Others called it evolution. We decided to pass through it. All of us together. Then why are you still here?" Tivol pressed. "Why did you not go with them?" Hana smiled sadly. Someone had to stay behind. The galaxy was not ready for this knowledge. The younger species needed time to grow, to learn, to become strong enough to face that choice themselves. So I volunteered to sleep, to wait, to be here if you ever needed answers. "And the Arbiter?" Tivol asked. "What is it really?" "Who is Jinho?" Hana's expression changed. Pain crossed her face. "Jinho was my colleague. My friend, he was the best of us. When we decided to leave, we knew someone had to guide the younger species. Someone who understood both technology and compassion. Jinho volunteered to upload his consciousness into the Arbiter. To become the system itself." Tivol stepped back. Her legs trembled. "The Arbiter is a person?" "A human person?" "Yes, he gave up everything. His body, his freedom, his chance to ascend with the rest of us. He stayed behind to help you, to protect you from making the same mistakes we made. For 300 years?" Tivol whispered. "He has been alone for 300 years?" "Yes." Hana stood up slowly. Her legs shook, but she stayed standing. "I need to speak with him now, please." Tivol hurried from the room. Hana could hear her speaking urgently to someone outside. Minutes passed. Then the door opened again. This time Ixen entered, the energy being floated in the center of the room. Her light was dimmer than usual. "You want to access the Arbiter," Ixen said. It was not a question. "I want to speak with my friend," Hana corrected. "He has been waiting for me. That is why he sent the signal. That is why he woke me up." Ixen pulsed with light. "If what you say is true, this changes everything. The council must discuss this." "We cannot simply— He has been alone for 3 centuries. Hana's voice rose. "You have been using him, relying on him, trusting him with every decision. The least you can do is let me talk to him." The room fell silent. Then all the screens in the room activated. The same male voice from before spoke, but this time it sounded different, warmer, more emotional. "Hana, it is good to hear your voice again." Tears filled Hana's eyes. "Jinho, you kept your promise. You stayed. I did. And now you are awake. The time has come." Ixen moved between them. "Time for what?" "Explain yourself." "Time for a choice," Jinho said. "I have guided you for 300 years. I have made decisions for you, protected you. But guidance can become a cage. You must decide now. Do you want to continue under my protection? Or do you want to rule yourselves? That night, the council held an emergency meeting. Every member was present. The chamber buzzed with angry voices. Some wanted to keep the arbiter. It had never failed them before. Why change now? Others wanted independence. They felt betrayed. They had been taking orders from a person, not a machine. That was different. That was wrong. Teval stood and spoke. I have reviewed all of Jinho's decisions. Every single one was designed to help us grow, to prevent war, to stop famine, to give us time to mature as a civilization. He has been a good shepherd. Doram rose to his feet. His massive form cast a shadow across the room. But we are not sheep. We are intelligent beings. We should make our own choices. Even if those choices are mistakes, that is how we learn. That is how we become strong. Ixen floated to the center. There is another problem. If the arbiter is a person, then he can die. What happens when he is gone? We will have built our entire civilization on a foundation that can crumble. We need to be able to stand on our own. The arguments continued for hours. Hana watched from a viewing room. She could see the fear in their faces. They had relied on Jinho for so long. The thought of being alone terrified them. She understood that feeling. She was the last human. She was alone too. Finally, Jinho's voice filled the chamber. This time, everyone could hear him. He appeared as a hologram in the center of the room. A tall man with kind eyes. He wore simple clothing. His face looked tired. So tired. I understand your fear, Jinho said. I have felt it myself. For 300 years, I have carried the weight of every choice, every decision. I have tried my best to help you. But I am only one person, one perspective, one set of experiences. He looked at each council member. Humanity nearly destroyed itself before we learned wisdom. We fought wars over resources, over beliefs, over pride. Millions died because we could not work together. That is why I stayed, to help you avoid our mistakes. But, Ixen asked, but you are not human. You are 12 species working together. You have something we never had, diversity, different minds, different ways of thinking. You can solve problems I cannot even imagine. You just need to trust yourselves. Doram stepped forward. Then why not prove it? Give us a test. 1 year without your guidance. If we succeed, you let us rule ourselves. If we fail, we accept your continued presence. Jinho's hologram flickered. For a moment, he looked sad. That is fair. But I want you to understand something. If you fail, people will suffer. People will die. Are you willing to accept that responsibility? The council members looked at each other. The weight of those words hung in the air. Finally, Ixen spoke. We accept. But we will not take a full year. We only need 6 months. If we cannot prove ourselves in that time, then we are not ready. Jinho nodded slowly. 6 months. I will remain available for emergencies only. True emergencies. Not disagreements or difficult choices. You must handle those yourselves. The council voted. It was not unanimous, but it was enough. The test would begin tomorrow, but Ixen had other plans. Late that night, she met with a small group in secret. They gathered in a private room far from the council chambers. 5 members total, all of them powerful, all of them afraid. We cannot allow this test, Ixen said. Her light pulsed with intensity. If we fail, we look weak. If we succeed, the arbiter becomes irrelevant. Either way, we lose control. What do you propose? One of the others asked. Ixen projected an image. It was a schematic. Deep in the core of Unity Prime, buried under layers of security, was the original human control system. The failsafe, the kill switch. The humans built this to shut down the arbiter if it ever became corrupted. We can use it now. End this debate permanently. Take full control of our future. That will kill him, another member said quietly. Jinho, it will kill him. He is already dead, Ixen said coldly. He gave up his life 300 years ago. We are just finishing what the humans started. We are freeing ourselves, the group agreed. They would activate the kill switch in 3 days. Just enough time to prepare. Just enough time to make sure nobody could stop them. But they did not know that Teval had been listening. She had placed a small monitoring device in the room earlier. She heard everything, and now she had to make a choice. Did she tell the council? Did she tell Jinho? Or did she try to stop them herself? She hurried to find Hana. The human was still awake, staring out at the stars through a viewport. She turned when Teval entered. Something is wrong, Teval said quickly. She explained what she had heard. Hana's face went pale. We have to warn him, Hana said. If they activate that switch, he already knows, Jinho's voice said from the speakers. I have been monitoring the situation. I know what they plan to do. Then stop them, Hana shouted. Lock them out. Shut down the system. I cannot, Jinho said softly. If I force them to obey me, I become exactly what they fear. A tyrant, a controller. They have to choose freely, even if that choice destroys me. 3 days passed too quickly. Hana spent every moment trying to find a way to stop Ixen's plan. She studied the old human systems. She searched for backup protocols, anything that might save Jinho, but the kill switch was designed too well. Once activated, it could not be reversed. Tivo worked alongside her. The Kryn analyst had access to Unity Prime security systems. She tried to lock Ixen out, but the Council Overseer had too much authority. She knew all the codes, all the passwords. There was no stopping her without direct confrontation. On the third night, Hana went to find Doram. She found him in the training halls. He was alone, practicing combat forms. His massive body moved with surprising grace. He stopped when he saw her. You look worried, Doram said. He wiped sweat from his face. Ixen is going to kill Jinho, Hana said bluntly. Tonight. She has a group helping her. They are going to activate the kill switch. Doram's orange eyes narrowed. You are certain? Tival recorded their meeting. We have proof, but we cannot stop them alone. We need help. Doram was silent for a long moment. He looked at his hands. Strong hands, warriors' hands. I understand why they are afraid. I have felt it too. The Arbiter has all the power. We have none. It is not right. But murder is not the answer, Hana said. Jinho gave up everything for you. All of you. He deserves better than this. Doram nodded slowly. Yes, he does. I will gather my warriors. We will stop them, but they were too late. By the time Doram assembled his team and reached the core systems, Ixen had already begun. The kill switch was housed in a heavily shielded chamber deep inside Unity Prime. Guards loyal to Ixen blocked the entrance. Stand aside, Doram ordered. His voice echoed through the corridor. Council orders, one guard said. Nobody enters. This is not council orders. This is treason. Doram raised his weapon. His warriors did the same. The standoff lasted only seconds. Then fighting erupted. Weapons fired. Bodies fell. Doram pushed through, but the doors to the chamber sealed shut. He could not break through in time. Inside the chamber, Ixen floated before the ancient control panel. Her light was bright with determination. She placed her energy tendrils on the activation sequence. The other conspirators stood behind her. Are we ready? Ixen asked. Do it, one of them said. Frias Ixen activated the sequence. The panel lit up. A countdown began. 10 seconds, 9, 8. Throughout Unity Prime, alarms sounded. Every screen showed the same message. System shutdown initiated. Core consciousness termination in progress, Hana screamed. She was watching from the control room with Tival. She saw the countdown. 7, 6, 5. Jinho! No. Jinho's voice filled every speaker in the station. It was calm. Almost peaceful. It is all right, Hana. This was always a possibility. You tried your best. Thank you for that. 4, 3, 2. The screens went dark. Every system across the Empire shut down simultaneously. Trade ships lost navigation. Communication networks failed. Life support systems switched to emergency backup. And in the deep silence that followed, Jinho was gone. For the first time in 300 years, the galaxy was truly on its own. The chaos began within hours. Without the Arbiter coordinating everything, the Empire fell apart. Resource distribution stopped. Ships carrying food and medicine could not find their destinations. Border disputes that had been peacefully managed suddenly erupted into violence. The Council met in emergency session. But without the Arbiter's guidance, they could not agree on anything. Every species had its own agenda, its own priorities. Arguments became shouting matches. Shouting matches became threats. Ixen tried to take control. She argued that this was what they wanted. Freedom, independence, the chance to rule themselves. But her voice was drowned out by the others. They blamed her, called her a murderer, a traitor. Within a week, 3 systems declared independence from the Council. Within 2 weeks, the Velkarian Kryn were preparing for war over mining rights. Within 3 weeks, trade had collapsed and border worlds were running out of supplies. Hana watched it all happen from the observation deck. She had not spoken since Jinho died. She just stood there staring out at the stars. Tivol came to check on her every day. But Hana never responded. She was lost in her grief. On the 4th week, Tivol came with urgent news. Hana, I found something. In Jinho's core systems. Before he died, he transferred a fragment of himself. A backup, it is not much. Just a shadow of what he was. But it is something. Hana turned. Her eyes were red from crying. Where? In a localized core. Here on Unity Prime. He must have done it in those last few seconds. He sacrificed his galaxy-wide presence to save a piece of himself. Hope flickered in Hana's chest. Take me to him. They found the core in a small maintenance room. It was barely functional. The screen flickered weakly. When Hana approached, words appeared. They were slow, struggling. Hana, I cannot maintain much longer. Minutes, maybe hours. Pain. So much pain. Hana placed her hand on the screen. Tears ran down her face. Jinho, we can try to rebuild you. Expand this core. Give you more processing power. No, time. Listen. There is a way. Fragment me. Distribute consciousness. Living host, volunteers. They carry pieces of me. I live through them. Tivol stepped forward. Is that possible? Can consciousness be split like that? Humans did it before. Neural implants, share, memories, thoughts. Not perfect, but better than a death. And Hana understood. You want to live inside other people? Multiple people? Yes. Not control, just guidance, whispers, suggestions. They choose. I advise and balance. That is a huge burden, Tivol said. Whoever volunteers will carry you for life. They will never be alone in their own minds again. Yes, but Empire needs help dying. Without coordination, chaos, death, suffering. Hana looked at Tivol. We need to present this to the council, now. The emergency council session was tense. Ships were fighting in 3 systems. Border worlds were starving. The Empire was days away from total collapse. When Hana explained Jinho's plan, the reaction was mixed. Some saw it as another attempt at control. Ixen, stripped of her position but still present, spoke against it. This is just another way to enslave us, to put a human voice in our heads. We must stand alone. But others saw the truth. The Empire was dying. They needed help. Doram stood and addressed the council. His voice was firm. Look at what we have become in just 1 month. We are tearing ourselves apart. We are not ready to stand alone. Not yet, maybe not ever. But this plan is different. It requires volunteers, people who choose to carry this burden. That is not slavery. That is sacrifice. And who would volunteer for such a thing? Someone asked. Doram stepped forward. I will. Jinho gave up everything for us. The least I can do is share my mind with him. If it saves even one world from war, it is worth it. Tivol clicked her mandibles. I will volunteer as well. I have studied his decisions for years. I understand his wisdom. I want to help preserve it. One by one, others stepped forward. Not all council members, but enough. Representatives from each major species, scientists, warriors, diplomats, people who understood the weight of what they were choosing. The vote was taken. It passed, barely, but it passed. The procedure took place the next day. Hana oversaw it personally. She worked with the medical teams to create the neural implants. Each one was custom designed for its host species. The technology was old, ancient human medical knowledge. But it still worked. Doram went first. He lay on the medical table, his massive body tense. The doctors placed the implant at the base of his skull. They activated the transfer protocol. Jinho's consciousness, split into fragments, began flowing into the device. Doram gasped. His eyes went wide. For a moment, he seemed to be fighting something. Then he relaxed. When he opened his eyes again, they were different. Calmer. Wiser. He is here, Doram said quietly. I can feel him. Not controlling me, just present like a friend sitting beside me, offering advice when I need it. Tivol was next. Then the others. Each one received a fragment. Each one became a host. When it was done, 23 beings carried pieces of Jinho's consciousness. Hana stood before them. How do you feel? Doram spoke for the group. Complete. Like something missing has been found. He is not one voice anymore, he is many. Through us, he can see the Empire from every perspective. And through him we can access wisdom we never had. Can you hear each other? Hana asked. The fragments? Tival nodded. Faintly. Like echoes. We are connected now. All of us. It is strange, but not unpleasant. The hosts returned to their duties. Slowly, carefully, they began to help restore order. They did not give commands. They offered suggestions. They mediated disputes. They coordinated relief efforts. And this time people listened. Not because they had to, but because they chose to. Within weeks, the crisis began to ease. Trade routes reopened. Border conflicts cooled. The empire started healing. It was not perfect. It was messy and complicated, but it was working. Hana watched from the observation deck. She felt Jinho's presence sometimes. Through Doram when he visited. Through Tival when they worked together. He was different now. Smaller, more fragmented. But he was alive. And he was no longer alone. That night she received a message. It came through her personal terminal. The text was simple. Thank you, Hana. This is better than I imagined. I am not one anymore, I am many. And for the first time in centuries, I feel truly alive. She smiled through her tears. You are welcome, old friend. 6 months passed. The empire found its rhythm. The hosts learned to work together. Each one brought their species' perspective to the decisions they made. Jinho's wisdom flowed through them like water through many channels. It was not perfect, but it was better. Doram stood before the council. His voice was steady and confident. The Velkari withdraw our claim to the disputed mining world. The resources should be shared equally among all border colonies regardless of species. This is Jinho's suggestion, but it is my choice to agree with him. The Kryn representative, who also carried a fragment, nodded. We accept this solution. It is fair. It serves the greater good. Around the chamber, other council members watched. Some were skeptical. Some were grateful. But all could see that something had changed. The hosts were not puppets. They debated. They disagreed sometimes, but they did so with wisdom and compassion that had been missing before. Tival worked in her research lab. She was studying ancient trade patterns when she felt Jinho's fragment stir in her mind. It was like a gentle nudge. An idea forming. What is it? She asked aloud. She had gotten used to talking to him. The response came as thoughts, not words. Images of Earth, the human homeworld, something there that might help the current food crisis. Old agricultural techniques. Seeds stored in vaults. You want us to go to Earth? Tival clicked her mandibles. Nobody has been there in centuries. More images. Seeds that could grow in harsh conditions. Technology that could transform barren worlds into farms. It was worth the journey. Tival presented the idea to the council. Doram volunteered to lead the expedition. I want to see the human homeworld. To understand where Jinho came from. Hana asked to join them. Earth was my home too. I want to see what became of it. The journey took 2 weeks. When they finally arrived in the Sol system, everyone fell silent. The blue and green world hung in space like a jewel. But it was different from the records. Wild, untamed. Nature had reclaimed everything. They landed near what had once been a major city. The buildings were crumbling. Trees grew through streets. Animals roamed freely. It was beautiful in a sad way. Like a graveyard that had become a garden. Hana walked through the ruins. Memories flooded back. She had lived here once. Before the discovery. Before the choice. Before the long sleep. She touched a wall covered in vines. We were here, she whispered. We built all this, and then we left it behind. Doram followed the coordinates Jinho provided. They led to a facility buried underground. The entrance was hidden by vegetation, but the system still worked. The door opened at their approach. Inside they found the seed vault. Thousands of species, carefully preserved. Labels in human language explained each one. Drought-resistant wheat, fast-growing vegetables, fruit trees that could survive in extreme temperatures. But there was more. In the deepest chamber they found a message. A hologram activated when they entered. A human appeared. Old, gray-haired, kind eyes. He spoke in the common language, clearly recorded after translation technology was shared. If you are watching this, then you have found your way here. Good. We left these resources for you, not as payment, not as apology, but as a gift. We did not leave because we stopped caring. We left because we loved you enough to let you grow without us. The hologram paused, then continued. You will make mistakes. You will fight. You will struggle. That is part of growth, but we believe in you. We believe you can build something better than what we had, something we could never achieve alone. 12 species working together. That is your strength. That is your future. The message ended. Doram stood silently. He felt Jinho's fragment within him. It was warm, peaceful. They really did care, he said. They gave us everything and asked for nothing. Hana wiped tears from her eyes. That is what humanity was at its best. Generous, hopeful, always believing in others. They loaded the seeds onto their ship. But Doram wanted to explore more. He walked through the abandoned cities. He saw the monuments, the art, the buildings, all slowly returning to nature. It was not sad anymore. It was peaceful. The humans had left their mark, but they had not forced it to remain. They let the world heal. On their last day on Earth, they found something unexpected. A small structure on a hill. Inside was a room with 12 chairs arranged in a circle. Above each chair hung a symbol. The symbols of the 12 species in the Galactic Council. In the center of the room was a pedestal. On it rested a single object, a data crystal. Hana picked it up carefully. When she activated it, a map appeared, coordinates deep in the galactic core. This is where they went, Hana breathed. This is the doorway they found. Tevel studied the coordinates. Should we follow them? Doram shook his head. Not yet. We are not ready. We still need to grow, to learn, to become what they believed we could be. When that time comes, this will be waiting. They returned to Unity Prime with the seeds and the knowledge. The agricultural techniques were shared across all worlds. Within months, the food crisis ended. Barren colonies began to flourish. It was a turning point, proof that cooperation worked better than competition. But not everyone was happy with the changes. Ixen had been watching from the shadows. She had been stripped of her position, humiliated, blamed for the chaos she caused. Her pride had turned to bitterness, and bitterness turned to anger. She approached Hana one evening. The human was alone in her quarters reviewing reports. Ixen's energy form flickered in the doorway. You must be pleased, Ixen said. Her voice was cold. Your plan worked. The humans control us again. Just in a different way, Hana turned. She studied the energy being. Is that what you think? That this is about control? What else would it be? You humans could not let go. You had to leave a piece of yourselves behind. To make sure we never forgot who was superior, Hana stood. She walked to the window. Outside, Unity Prime bustled with activity. Ships came and went. Species worked together. You are afraid, she said softly. I understand. I have been afraid too. I am not afraid, Ixen snapped. Yes, you are. You are afraid that without control, you are nothing. That if you ask for help, it makes you weak. I know that feeling. Humanity felt it for millennia. It nearly destroyed us. Hana turned to face her. But we learned something. Being vulnerable is not the same as being weak. Asking for help is not surrender. It is wisdom. The hosts chose to carry Jinho's fragments. Nobody forced them. They saw that together they could be stronger. That is not control. That is trust. Ixen's light flickered. For a moment she seemed smaller. I tried to free us. And I only made things worse. People died because of me. Yes, they did. Hana did not soften the truth. You let pride guide you instead of wisdom. But that does not mean you cannot learn from it. That does not mean you are beyond redemption. How do I fix it? Ixen asked. Her voice was barely a whisper. You start by admitting you need help. Then you work, every day, to be better, to serve others, not because you have to, but because you choose to. Ixen was silent for a long time. Then she dimmed her light in a gesture of respect. Thank you. For being honest with me. For not pretending I did not fail. She left. Hana watched her go. She did not know if Ixen would change. But at least now there was a chance. That night, Hana could not sleep. She stood on the observation deck, staring at the stars. So many worlds, so many species, all trying to find their way. She thought about the coordinates on Earth. The doorway to where humanity had gone. Do you want to follow them? Doram's voice came from behind her. He approached quietly for such a large being. Sometimes, Hana admitted, I wonder what they found. What they became, if they are happy. But you stay here. For now. There is still work to do. The Empire is healing, but it is fragile. You need guidance, and I need purpose. This gives me both. Doram stood beside her. Inside his mind, he felt Jinho's fragment stir. It was content, peaceful. He is grateful, you know, for saving him, for giving him a new way to exist, I know. I can feel it sometimes. Through you, through Tevel, through all the hosts. He is not alone anymore. That makes me happy. Neither are you, Doram said gently. You are not the last human. You are the first bridge between what was and what will be. Hana smiled. I like that, a bridge. That is a good way to see it. They stood together in comfortable silence. Outside, the stars shone bright. Ships moved between them. The Empire continued its work, healing, growing, learning. In the weeks that followed, more volunteers came forward. Some wanted to host fragments of Jinho. Others wanted to learn from the hosts. A new system emerged. Not the old arbiter. Not pure independence. Something in between. A collaboration. The council changed its procedures. Now, before major decisions, they consulted the hosts. But the hosts did not command. They advised. They shared Jinho's wisdom. But the council chose whether to follow it. Sometimes they agreed. Sometimes they did not. That was all right. That was growth. Tevel noticed something interesting. The fragments were evolving. Through their hosts, Jinho was learning new things, experiencing different perspectives. He was not just teaching anymore. He was being taught. The relationship was mutual. She reported this to Hana. He is changing, becoming more than he was. The fragments communicate with each other, share experiences. He is learning what it means to be Kryn, to be Velkari, to be all of us. 5 years passed. The Empire flourished. Trade routes expanded to systems that had been unreachable before. Scientific discoveries accelerated as species shared knowledge freely. Wars became rare. When conflicts arose, the hosts helped mediate before violence could begin. Hana had become an official ambassador. She traveled between worlds, sharing human history and learning about each species. She was no longer the last human. She was something more, a living connection to the past. A teacher, a friend, but she felt something changing inside herself. A restlessness, a pull toward the unknown. At night, she dreamed of the coordinates from Earth. The doorway, the place where humanity had gone. The dreams were getting stronger. One evening, she sat with Tevel in a quiet garden on Unity Prime. Plants from 12 different worlds grew together here. It was beautiful. Proof that different things could thrive side by side. You are thinking about leaving, Tevel said. It was not a question. Hana smiled sadly. You can read me that well? I have known you for 5 years. I see the way you look at the stars, the way you study the coordinates when you think nobody is watching. Tevel clicked her mandibles gently. You want to find them. Your people, I do, but I also want to stay here. I love this place. These people, this empire we have built together. It feels like betrayal to leave. Tevel reached out and touched Hana's hand with one delicate leg. It is not betrayal to seek your own path. You have given us so much. You woke Jinho, you helped save the Empire. You taught us about humanity. But you also deserve answers. You deserve to know what happened to your species. What if I go and never come back? What if the doorway only works one way? Then we will remember you. We will tell your story. We will honor what you did for us. That is not nothing, Hana. That is everything. Hana felt tears on her cheeks. I am afraid. I have been alone for so long. What if I find them and they are not what I remember? What if they have changed so much that I do not belong with them either? Then you will know, Tevel said simply. And knowing is better than wondering forever. The council held a special session when Hana announced her intention to seek the doorway. Many protested. They did not want her to leave. She had become important to them, not just as a symbol of humanity, but as a person they cared about. Doram stood. I will go with her. Someone should, to witness, to record, to bring back knowledge of what we find. And I, Tevel added, we are friends. Friends do not let friends face the unknown alone. Others volunteered. Scientists, explorers, diplomats. In the end, 12 beings were chosen, one from each species. A perfect representation of the Empire. They would all go together. The ship was prepared. The fastest vessel in the fleet, loaded with supplies for a long journey. The coordinates pointed to the galactic core, a dangerous region. Few ships had ever ventured there. Fewer had returned. On the day of departure, thousands gathered to see them off. It was not a sad occasion. It was hopeful. This was exploration, discovery, everything the Empire should be about. Before boarding, Hana received a private message. It came through all the hosts simultaneously, Jinho's voice speaking as one through many. I wish I could go with you, to see what they have become, but I am bound to this Empire now. My place is here. But Hana, if you find them, tell them something for me. Tell them I do not regret my choice. Tell them what we built here is beautiful. Tell them I am proud. I will, Hana promised. Thank you, Jinho, for everything. The journey took 3 months. They traveled through empty space, past dead stars and ancient nebulas. The galactic core grew larger each day. Its light was brilliant, dangerous, beautiful. Finally, they reached the coordinates. There was nothing there, just empty space. Hana felt her heart sink. Had it all been for nothing? Had the doorway closed? Had she come all this way for nothing? Then Tevel noticed something. Look at the sensors. There is a gravitational anomaly. Small, stable, it should not be there. They moved closer. The anomaly grew larger on their screens. It was a fold in space, a tear in reality. The doorway. It was real. What do we do? One of the crew asked. Their voice shook. Hana stood. We send a probe first. See what happens. Then we decide. They launched a small probe. It drifted toward the anomaly. When it touched the edge, it vanished. Not destroyed. Just gone. They waited. Minutes passed. Then hours. Then a day. The probe did not return, but something else came through. A signal, faint, in the human language. It said simply, come home. Hana stared at the message. Her hands trembled. They are there. They are still there. And they are calling me. So we go? Doram asked. Hana looked at each member of the crew. This is not my choice alone. We are a team. We decide together. They voted. It was unanimous. They would go through together. But before they left, Hana recorded a message. She sent it back to Unity Prime. It would take weeks to arrive, but it was important to the Galactic Council, to all the species we have come to love. We are going through the doorway. We do not know what we will find. We do not know if we will return, but we go with hope, with curiosity, with courage. The same things you have shown us every day. She paused, then continued. You do not need us anymore. You do not need humanity to guide you. You have grown into something magnificent. 12 species working as one. Building a future together. That is more than we ever achieved alone. Be proud of that. Be proud of yourselves. And if we do not come back, remember this. Legacy is not about monuments or control. It is not about forcing others to follow your path. It is about inspiration. About giving others the tools and knowledge to build their own future. Humanity's greatest gift was not the arbiter. It was trust. Trust that you could become something amazing. And you did. The message was sent. The ship turned toward the anomaly. Hana took a deep breath. Beside her, Tevel and Doram stood ready. Behind them, the rest of the crew prepared for the unknown. Ready? Hana asked. Ready, they answered together. The ship moved forward. The anomaly grew larger. Reality bent around them. Colors shifted. Physics changed. For a moment, everything was light, pure, beautiful. Then they were through. On the other side was something beyond description. Not a place, not exactly. More like a state of being. Consciousness without bodies. Thoughts without boundaries. And everywhere, humans. Millions of them, billions, all connected. All aware. All together. They welcomed Hana like she had never left. No words were needed. She could feel their joy. Their love. Their pride in what she had done. What the Empire had become. And then she understood. This was not a place you could return from. Not in a physical sense. The doorway changed you. Transformed you. Freed you from the limits of matter and time. But it was not forced. She could choose. They all could. Stay here and ascend. Or go back and keep their physical forms. The choice was theirs. Hana looked at her companions. Even here she could sense them. Tevel's curiosity. Doram's loyalty. The others' wonder. She reached out to them with thoughts. What do you want to do? Doram's presence was strong, certain. I want to go back. I want to tell them what we found. That there is hope. That ascension is real. but that our time is not yet. We still have work to do. One by one, the others agreed. They were not ready. Maybe someday, but not now. Their place was with the Empire, with their people. With the future they were building together, Hana felt torn. Part of her wanted to stay, to reunite with humanity completely, but another part remembered Jinho, remembered the Empire, remembered all the friends she had made. The collective consciousness of humanity reached out to her. Not demanding, just offering understanding. They showed her a possibility. She could be like Jinho. She could fragment herself. Leave part of her consciousness here. Take part back. Be in both places. It would not be easy. It would mean living divided, always aware of both worlds but fully in neither. But it would let her bridge the gap. Connect both sides. She made her choice. She would split. Part of her would stay with humanity in their ascended state. Part would return with the crew. She would be the connection, the link between what was and what could be. The separation was painful, like being torn in half, but also liberating, like learning to fly. When it was done, she existed in two places at once, and it felt right. They returned through the doorway, back to physical space, back to the ship. Hana opened her eyes. She was whole, but different, changed. She could feel the connection to the other side. Faint but real. Did it work? Tival asked. Hana smiled. Yes, I am here. But I am also there. I can feel them. All of them. And they can feel us. The connection is established. The journey home took 3 months. When they returned to Unity Prime, they were heroes. Not for finding the doorway, but for coming back. For choosing their people over transcendence. The Council listened to their story. About what lay beyond. About the choice humanity had made. About the possibility that awaited them all someday. But not yet. Not until they were ready. That night, Hana met with the hosts. All 23 of them. Plus her now. 24 beings carrying fragments of human consciousness. She could feel Jinho through them. His joy at her return. His wonder at her choice. We are not alone anymore, she told them. None of us. Humanity is still out there. Watching, hoping, proud. And through us, they remain connected to this universe. To you. To the future. Years passed, decades, the Empire grew stronger. More species joined. The hosts continued their work. Hana served as ambassador and teacher. She aged slowly, her connection to the ascended state keeping her alive longer than normal. One day, centuries later, the first non-human asked to attempt ascension. They were ready. They had lived a full life, done great things, and now they wanted to see what lay beyond. Hana guided them to the doorway. She watched as they passed through, and on the other side, humanity welcomed them, the first of many. The beginning of something new. The Empire did not need the Arbiter anymore. They did not need guidance or control, but they kept the fragments, not as rulers, as friends, as reminders of where they came from and what they could become. And every night on Unity Prime, beings from 12 species gathered in the chamber with 12 chairs. They sat together. They talked. They planned. They dreamed. Not as separate peoples, but as one. That was humanity's true legacy. Not an algorithm that ruled, not technology that controlled, but inspiration, the simple belief that different beings could work together, could love each other, could build something greater than themselves. Hana stood on the observation deck one last time. She was old now. Even with the connection to the ascended state, time caught up eventually. She did not mind. She had lived well, loved well, made a difference. Tival and Doram stood beside her. They were old too, but still strong, still fierce, still friends. Do you have regrets? Doram asked. Hana smiled. No, I have had a good life. 2 lives, really. And soon I will have another, when I pass through the doorway for the last time. Will you wait for us? Tival asked, on the other side. Of course. All of you. We will be there. Humanity and anyone else who chooses to ascend. We will welcome you with open arms. Because that is what we do. That is who we are. She closed her eyes. She could feel the pull now. Stronger than ever. It was time. She had done everything she needed to do. The Empire was safe. The future was bright. She could rest. Through the fragments, through all the hosts, Jinho spoke one last time. To her alone, Thank you, Hana, for saving me, for believing in me, for showing them that we were worth remembering. Thank you, Jinho, she whispered back, for staying, for sacrificing, for loving them when they needed it most. And then she was gone, not dead, just elsewhere. Through the doorway one final time. Home at last. On Unity Prime, the lights dimmed for a moment of silence, a moment of respect. Then they came back on, brighter than before, because that was what Hana would have wanted. Not mourning, but celebration. Not endings, but new beginnings. The Empire continued, growing, changing, learning. And somewhere in the fabric of their civilization, woven through the hosts, through the stories, through the very way they governed themselves, humanity remained, not ruling, not controlling, just present. A quiet voice reminding them of what was possible when different beings chose to work together. That was the greatest algorithm of all. Not code or logic, but love, trust, hope, and it would run forever.